So we just learned about the landforms on Earth's land. Now, there are also landforms underneath the ocean in the lithosphere. So if you look at right here, this is basically your shore. That's where, if you were on the ocean, you would be able to walk right there. But there's also the continent shelf, which is that part that you can stand in and you don't sink or anything. And then it goes down to a continental slope that gets really, really deep, really, really fast. And you can have canyons there, just like normal canyons, but they're underwater. You can have guyots or abyssal hills or seamounts, which are basically like underwater hills. They're different types of hills, basically. You could have a mid-ocean ridge, which is like a mountain range underneath the ocean. You could have a trench. Trenches are really interesting. They're basically like an underwater valley. They get very, very deep, and they could even go into the mantle of the earth. You can have volcanic islands. That is basically that's how Hawaii was created. There's magma, a hot spot, and that creates islands. Right here is an island arc, which are the islands that are underwater. They have not yet gone to the shore. And then eventually, in a whole bunch of ocean, it'll go to the next continent, the next shore right there. Um, and this is really important. This is important to know because trenches can cause different problems. We can have different problems with the seafloor spreading um, and stuff like that. So it is not just a big plain. There are plains underneath the ocean, but there's all kinds of different landforms. I have some images right here. So the dark purple means it's really deep, and then the lighter it gets is kind of like a mountain. So right here is a trench. You can see how deep it gets. You can see a seamount, which is kind of like a mountain by itself. That red right there is very, very high, or down here is very deep. A ridge, so it's kind of like the mountain range. It's basically the opposite of the trench. An abyssal plain, which is basically like the plain outside that we see. And these maps are relief maps, which means that the they show the mountains and the different elevation by different colors or by different patterns. Like you can kind of tell that that's a mountain range just by what it looks like. It's a good example right there. You can tell that rigid. It's almost like tinfoil being crinkled. Where right here, where we live, there's no tinfoil. It's nice and straight. Another type of map that scientists use are topographic maps, which are like this. So they draw little lines, and the closer the lines get together, the higher the elevation is. So right here is where the lines are really close together and there's a lot of them, which means that there's actually a little mountain range. It looks just like that. Topographic lines are super interesting and they're easy to read once you figure out how they work.